Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and yet again another YouTube spotlight. I'm extremely excited. I know I say this. I'm always excited about the people I'm interviewing, but today is going to be really awesome, and I think that there's not a soul on earth that is not going to benefit from it. To get started, I'm Devette. Christian numerologist. I'm a relationship coach, and my intention and my purpose is to help people communicate, build confidence, and have better relationships with the people in your life, including yourself, your relationship with God, your relationship with your children, your spouse, just humans, people in business, people you work with. So as a spiritual entrepreneur, I have decided to interview some amazing people that are up to making a difference in the world, that want to share their gifts, their talents, their journey, their perspectives in a way that I feel, there are people out there right now that are wanting to hear and hear these messages and be blessed by them. So, I hope that you find that today. And I know absolutely that with this interview, I cannot wait to dive in. I'm so excited. Nicole is a forgiveness expert and a spiritual wisdom mentor. Like, whoa, that is so cool. But Nicole, I'm going to let you take it away. If you want to tell us how you got started, what sparks your passion with this and all that good stuff. Anything that you want to share. And I'm just so excited. But Nicole, yeah, happy to have you today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And I always appreciate someone that brings a spiritual aspect to any type of interview. So I'm very excited about that also. I would say that I'm a quantum energy healer. And what that means is I find stuck traumas that have been in your body. It could be this lifetime, it could be another lifetime. So we use quantum to find that. We can go into past, present, and future and see where those are stuck. And I'm also a forgiveness expert. And I truly believe that anytime you're understanding and practicing forgiveness, you're going to facilitate healing much faster than you would without utilizing it.
Oh yeah. I love the forgiveness aspect. What's your story? What got you started? How did you come across this?
Well, mine is pretty common. Let me think about this. In 2013, I found out that my husband was having an affair or had affairs. And the way I found out is my youngest daughter, who I believe was 10 or 11 at the time, her iPod Touch was synced with his phone. And so she started getting all of these messages and pictures and sex. And, she told me about it. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe that. Believe it or not, I was very blindsided by that. So that's really what started it. And as I went through my healing journey, I took every type of healing class I could possibly think of. I am trained in Reiki. I'm trained in cellular memory. I am certified in hypnosis. Just everything that I thought I would need to heal myself.
Right.
And so I was working on myself. I would work with other healers, and those were fine, but there was still something. I couldn't quite place my finger on it. And I was getting to a point where my hair was starting to fall out from the stress, and I was scratching my skin so hard it would bleed. So I knew I had to find something. Something was wrong, something was missing. What do I do?
Right.
And to make a long story short, we had a family trip with, my dad and brothers. We went to the island of Hawaii, the Big Island. And before I leave, I have guides that I talk to that will give me just kind of downloads of what I might need to do, what I might need to look for, what I might need to be cautious of. The only thing they told me on this trip was to feed the stray. And that's all they said. So to me, I kept thinking, well, a stray would be a dog. So but I know when they tell me to do something, there's something connected to it, and I should just do it. So we went over there, and I kept like treats on me, dog treats. And we'd be walking around and I couldn't see anything. I'm like, no, this isn't right. This isn't right. So one day we hiked the Kilauea volcano, and it was active at the time. So it was my daughter with me. And I actually just had food with me that day. And we crossed this big ravine, and we crossed it on a bridge that was just rope and slats. And during me crossing that, I heard my guide say, make an offering to the island. And so I had a little bit of food on me, so I tossed something into the ravine. And anytime you're making an offering, it's not really about what you're giving to the island. It's the fact that that offering came from your heart. So I knew I had to do that offering. So we walked to the other side, and as we walked a little bit farther, Hawaii is very dense and has a lot of foliage. So I heard some rustling in the foliage, and I looked down and I saw this little bird, and it was hobbled. It's little, it's what do you call it? Its little foot was.
Yeah.
So my daughter bent down and she fed the bird. The bird was starving, and that was my stray. So I thought,
wow.
yeah, I heard my guide say, that's your stray. So I thought, okay, that's great. I did what you told me. And the trip continued on, and we got home, and I'm like, okay, now what do I do? What's going on? Well, all of a sudden, when I would read something, when I would like be scrolling on Facebook, or I'd be on Instagram or any kind of social media, or even just podcasts, I kept hearing the word Ho'oponopono.
Mm-hmm.
I could not, and I'm like, I have never heard this in my life. What is this? And so I started researching, and it was so simple. It's like the four, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have been to counselors, I've been to psychologists, I've spent so much money trying to heal myself. This can't possibly work. And I heard my guide say, just try it, just try it. So I meditate a lot, and I would just lay in bed at night with my hand on my heart, and I'd envision my ex, because that's who had hurt me. And I just kept repeating this over and over and over for probably a couple months. And it was very interesting, because with nothing more than just bringing attention to my heart, which is our truth center, where we have knowledge, and repeating that over and over and over, I just started feeling this burden lift. And it's like I could take a full breath. And so what I had been missing out of everything I'd been doing was forgiveness.
Wow.
And I was just like, I had never thought of that. I'd never thought of forgiveness as what I was missing, because I was angry. I was hurt.
Oh, I
I
bet.
was shamed. I felt shame, that he had done that. And I couldn't believe that it's not simple, but it is, because you're forgiving someone, you're forgiving yourself, because it always takes two.
Mm-hmm.
But as I kept practicing this and talking about this, what I came to realize, that I was forgiving myself also for things that I had done, or
Mm-hmm.
things that maybe hadn't gone right in the past. I wish I could have a do-over. But something dawned on me, and I thought, everything you did with the information you had at the time. You thought it was right.
Right.
There was no evil attached to it, or meanness, and so I thought, well, maybe if I was doing that without ill intent, maybe other people had maybe said something or done something, and they didn't really know exactly what they were doing. So it helped me understand that forgiveness process more. But then as I continued on, I understood that whatever he had done, that was not because of me. That was about something that was going on inside of him.
Right.
And I have no control over him. So when I realized that, and realized that it really wasn't about me, I started understanding it more, and understanding that I don't want to carry that anger, that animosity, any of that was really, it was like stuck inside of my body, and
that's heavy.
It's heavy,
Yeah.
and I was getting sick. And with that, I was able to start releasing the memories, or the shame and the pain. And as I started releasing that, it dawned on me, it was just like an epiphany one day. You know, you love your children, you love your parents. I love my dog. You don't love yourself. And I had never thought about loving myself. I didn't really understand that that was a thing. So so this whole journey took me from shame and self-loathing, the pain, understanding what forgiveness was, understanding it was for me, and bringing to myself to a place of self-love, which created a path of compassion for others. So it was really just something that I almost feel like I had to get through all of the other emotions and get through those before I could truly understand the concept of what true forgiveness is. And true forgiveness, you can't be an ego when you do that. That's such a pure emotion and a pure process that you can't hold yourself in ego and truly forgive someone. And once you put that aside, because ego's there to protect, how
Right.
often we beat our chests, and so when I realized that, it was like this whole world opened up to me. It was amazing. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
that's powerful. And it's always so interesting and fascinating to me that a lot of the people that I've interviewed on and spotlighted that are spiritual healers or have some sort of amazing story, it all stems from some sort of hardship or
Mhm.
breakdown or some sort of tragic event that then births this huge revelation. And I think one of the, kind of I think it's the foundation, like we were saying, earlier, is that forgiveness it's so huge because none of us are perfect, right? And so
No.
being able to acknowledge and saying, I forgive someone for being human, in essence, is forgiving yourself. And I love that you bring that up because I mean forgiveness is freedom, being able to
Yes.
be free of that burden and that heaviness. And the words, words are so powerful, right? I mean,
Mhm.
abracadabra, I believe, is the Greek word for I create what I speak.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
being able to say, I forgive you, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, is so powerful. You had mentioned something earlier about women have a really hard time. So do women have a harder time with the forgiveness? Is it just because men are making the most mistakes? Or is it just the, spiritual aspect of it that women have a harder time forgiving?
One of the things I'm really seeing, because I've been on like some Zooms where we have those breakout rooms, and I always talk about forgiveness, and the women really don't feel they should forgive. And what they don't understand is you're not condoning actions when you forgive. You're not saying, I forgive you for doing that thing. You're saying, I forgive you because I don't want to carry your mistake. I don't want to carry your burden. And what you are really doing is you're releasing the pain, the shame, the guilt, any of the emotions you had felt at any time, you're releasing those from your body. And it doesn't mean like my ex told my daughter, he says, well, your mom said she forgives me. She goes, she's not walking her talk. Why isn't she coming back to me? Well, you don't, no, forgiveness doesn't mean going back with someone who has hurt you.
Right.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you're ever going to forget what they did,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't, because the lesson comes from what they did and how you reacted to it. So there seems to be a big misconception with women that if they forgive, you're letting someone off the hook. Well,
Right.
you're letting yourself off the hook. You're
Right.
letting yourself off the hook of the pain, because it is painful when you
Yeah.
go through that. It really is. And
Mhm.
I heard one gentleman say one time in the room, he says, well, maybe you don't want to forgive whoever it was, but maybe forgive yourself. And the reaction was like, well, why in the hell should I forgive
Right.
anybody? Why
Mhm.
should I why should I forgive him? And what do I have to forgive myself for? I didn't do anything. well, you might have not done what they did, or, but there's
Right.
always two. And so for me, looking back, I forgave myself for times that
Yeah.
I wasn't present. Maybe he needed someone
Right.
to talk to. And it was just kind of, for me, it's like, I'm not perfect. I didn't do what he did, but I'm not perfect. So I would say it to
Right.
myself. And when you start loving yourself, your whole world changes.
Oh yeah.
It's just a light. It's just like turning on a
Yeah.
light switch.
And I think even that is hard for women, is to really love and accept themselves, because I noticed a lot of competition with women where, um, when you go out to a party and women are, dressed in the, beautiful dress and the heels, and it's not necessarily for the man, it's for the other women. It's other women that are going to notice the shoes and the dress and the purse and the bag. And um, being able to accept and love yourself for who you are, I can see that a lot, that women, do struggle with that. And I've had my heart broken. I've had to forgive um, really hard things in the past. When I was married, before I moved here, I found out how much my ex-husband at the time had cheated, and I was
Mhm.
very loyal. And so that I had to go through a process too of completely forgiving and letting go. I had someone that I was, thought I was in love with, put a ring on another girl's finger behind my back. And I found out on Facebook.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
And
sorry.
that was hard to let go of, because I tried to be the best that I could possibly be. But I realized I did have to forgive myself for even just being foolish, you
Yes.
know even just that, even if it wasn't like an action that I did or didn't do, it was, I had to forgive myself for um being a fool, for not seeing, sometimes things that were obvious. And one thing that was interesting that I think helped me during that time is, at church, we were going through, our preacher was teaching this lesson about how Jesus washed Judas' feet. And
Mhm.
I was thinking, I do not want to wash this man's feet. I want to break his feet, not wash them, And so I
Chop them
had to,
off.
yeah, and that was real. I'm like, I ain't washing his, I won't break his feet, if anything. And I had to really self-check and be like, how crazy is that, to forgive someone for something that they didn't earn? They deserve the punishment. When you're guilty of something. But it freed me. And I was so resistant to pray for them, for their well-being, that for their goodness, for that things would work out for them and for this other woman. I was so resistant to do that. But when I finally brought myself to that place, which is why I can understand the value of what you're saying, and the gift that you are offering to women and men in forgiveness, is because that load, that heavy load that you're carrying, to be free from it. And it's not a matter of the, for making it okay that what that person did was okay, but freeing yourself of that burden, because it is theirs.
It
They get
is.
to carry that, not you. And we do. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we carry that? Is that ego, or is that,
I
what do you
think
think
it's a
that is?
time, I think it's protection. It's a
Okay.
protection for ourselves because
Yeah.
as women, we're kind of conditioned to be softer and to feel things a little deeper. But I really
Okay.
think that's a protection. And when you understand that you can let go of that protection, you're safe because what they did was about them. And when you look at like a cheater or someone that is telling two women something, you would have to think, I would never do that. What is going on inside of them that brings them to that point where they are mistreating two women? What's going on in there? Because you can't imagine yourself doing that. So
Right.
is it their ego? Are they ashamed of themselves? Are they trying to feel better? There's just all kinds of things that could be going on. But
Right.
with my, mine was like, I didn't get enough attention. really? So you have to understand what they did is not about you. It really is not. And so when you understand that, I think it's a little bit easier. You don't want to be around them. Why would you want to carry a feeling in your body about them? Why would you want to continue with that? And, when you talk about praying for them, I couldn't agree more with that, because what we're doing, and it's a universal law, anything that you put out in the universe circles right back to you. So
Mhm.
do you really want to wish hate on that person, or
Right.
illness on that person, or death on that person? No, you want, we need to start lifting people up. That doesn't mean you ever
Right.
have to talk to them again. All you're doing is going full circle with something that comes back to you.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I always say you can't plant onions and expect to grow strawberries.
Exactly.
Right. You need to plant, you need to forgive, and you need to, because we make mistakes and we want people to forgive us too. And we say our, I'm even as a parent, you fail your child sometimes, you fail your parents, yourself, you do things, and it's really powerful to practice just letting that go. Um, is there a process that you go through? So do you do this like with clients? Um, how do you go about helping people through that?
If it depends on if they just want to practice forgiveness, or if they have something stuck inside their body they need to get rid of.
Okay.
And so we start with just a conversation: is where do you feel it? How old were you? Certain things embed in us from the time we're little. But with forgiveness, we just go through steps and we look at it logically, and how you can forgive without forgiving or forgetting,
Forgetting.
how you can forgive and not be hurting yourself, how you can forgive and love yourself, how you can forgive and create compassion. But also I let them know that when you have forgiven someone and you start loving yourself, you're raising your vibration. And
Mhm.
everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. We all
Mhm.
vibrate. And there's a chart that talks about shame vibrating at 20, which is a
Mhm.
very low vibration, love vibrating at 500. So if you're vibrating at 500, someone who's vibrating at 20 with shame, you're not going to resonate with each other.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to like merge as friends, because it's uncomfortable. And
Right.
sometimes you don't even know why you don't. Like if you're out in a group of people and you talk to someone and all of a sudden you're like, I don't really get them, or I don't understand them, or I'm not comfortable with them, because
Mhm.
there's a vibrational match and you're not matching their
Mhm.
vibration. And
Mhm.
when you do practice forgiveness and self-love, you're vibrating higher.
Mhm.
Those people that you don't vibrate with, it's kind of an organic. They leave. They're not comfortable. You're not
It's not a
comfortable.
match. Yeah.
It's not a match. So all of a sudden, all these people that come in, they're your match. They're your
Yeah.
people. So it's really
Mhm.
interesting how that works. You don't have to go out and like actively seek it. Now, I will tell you that friendships go away who you thought, was a friend or
Right.
a drinking buddy at the time. You'd go out for cocktails. All of a sudden, maybe you don't want to do that, or you don't want to gossip. You don't want to compete. There's all kinds of things that come into play
Right.
when you've forgiven yourself, when you're vibrating higher, and when you're practicing self-love. Changes a lot of demeanors. And
Yeah, I can imagine. And so you were saying how the frequency that shame, right, vibrates
Mhm.
at versus love. So that's something then if somebody comes to you and they have this shame, they have this guilt that because I can imagine that if it's vibrating at such a lower frequency, that's why it gets stuck in the body. Right. So it
Mhm.
needs like work through to process it out. So is that something then that's what you help get rid of so that they can raise their frequency, right? And be around the higher, you know, elevated people that are winning in their life versus the victim
The victim
vibration.
mentality,
Yeah.
exactly. And what you have to do is you have to go back and find that exact time. Was it something someone spoke to you? Was it something you felt? And I'll just give you an example of a lady that I worked with, and she was 55 years old, and she'd never felt worthy. And this was, she says, I don't remember ever feeling worthy. She says, I picked the wrong men, I picked the wrong jobs, I make the wrong choices. And so I do a very light hypnosis, but what I tell people, and this is true, your body remembers everything. Your body is absolutely brilliant. Now, you might push it down and not want to deal with it, but you can find that exact moment that happened. So we went back into very early childhood. And what happened was and I'll tell you the age in a minute, but she wanted to help her mother carry groceries in the house. And her mother gave her a can of soup to carry in. Her mom took the bag and this little girl took the soup and she dropped it. And her mother called her stupid and worthless. She was 18 months old. That's a
Oh,
baby.
wow.
That's a
Wow.
baby.
Yeah.
And
My granddaughter's almost at 18 months old. So yeah, they
and
understand. They understand.
and
Yeah.
and a voice will change. Body language changes when you're saying that to someone,
Right.
especially a little person. So they might not understand the word at the time, but they can feel that change in energy. That I did something wrong. Why is my mom yelling at me? Why did I did something wrong? I must not be smart. I must not be worthy. I can't do anything. And so at 18 months, this lady was 55 and she'd been living with that for that many years. And that's those stories that we keep over and over and over telling ourselves. We might not even know where they come from, but when
Right.
we find them and you can go back and with visualization, you can see it. It's
Mhm,
almost like it just is a movie playing before you. And so
mhm.
we were able to release that for her.
Wow, that is powerful. I can imagine how light she must have felt after that and freeing.
And
And
that's the
after
exact
caring,
word they use the word, I feel so much lighter, so much better. It's
yeah,
like my heart is free.
wow. And then just carrying that through for 55 years, I can only imagine how that then comes out to her on her children or
Oh,
right in the
yeah,
people in her life.
absolutely. And she became, she because of the way her mother was, she was a little more cognizant of being with kindness. But there's two bad marriages. There was a daughter that they weren't very close. So it affects you in ways you don't even know because you're doing it. Our subconscious runs 95% of what we do and what we say. And sometimes we don't even know why we're doing it, but it's a program that's been embedded in us for that many years.
Wow.
And you keep playing it over and over and over and wondering, why isn't anything working out for me?
Mhm.
And you just
Wow.
dragging it with you around.
And I can imagine even from your grandparents and your great grandparents, and that gets recycled, right? And you probably have no
Everything.
idea. Wow,
Past lives,
that's
past lives
amazing.
come into play. I've had those come into play. Grandparents come into play. A mother that had three children, two were fun and carefree. The third was very different, very depressed, very moody.
Mhm,
Um, During that pregnancy, there was problems in her marriage.
mhm.
So the baby was absorbing the mother's
Right.
feeling. And we don't even think about things like that. People be like, well, that can't happen. Oh, it can.
Oh,
It
of
can and it
course.
does.
Yeah, no, yeah, you see that even if, the parents are arguing a lot and that baby is there and they feel the tension and the anxiety and, that emotion that's happening. And without even realizing it, I'm sure it gets stuck even within them or even creates insecurity if they don't feel, safe at that point from that early
Mm,
on. That's amazing. Wow.
exactly. And there's unfortunately, a lot of sexual molestation with little ones. And that's really hard,
Mm,
just being a mother.
Mhm.
But, when they're little like that, they have to put that away to be safe. But
Mhm.
it does affect their relationships with men
Right.
and women, and that's one of those that
Mhm.
I unfortunately have worked on that a lot too. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't,
Oh,
you
man.
you don't want to believe it, but it does happen.
Yeah, and I think way more than we could even probably ever imagine, because hurt people,
Yes.
right? So then, and then everybody suppresses it because you think you're the only one, which is, why I love you telling your story and coming out and expressing. um I mean, there's a big need for this. People are walking around, they're deeply hurt, and they're wearing this mask that I got everything figured out. I'm okay. I'm great. You ask somebody, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Good. Okay. And it's really within, there's all that junk that needs to be
Turmoil.
cleared up.
Just
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And, like I said, we just run on these stories and we don't even know why a lot of the time.
I can even imagine now, just kind of came to me thinking of um, the forgiveness, the healing that's going to need to happen, especially coming from this whole, starting in 2020, this whole, pandemic, being locked down, losing their businesses, getting sick, not going to school, the stress, the anxiety, that all of that, there is going to be some sort of huge
It's
letting
coming.
go of forgiveness of, whatever that is for that person. Because you hear a lot of about the turmoil and the pain and the being wronged in relationships,
Hmm.
but now on a global global scale, I mean, just kind of weathering that out and looking at how it really affects the whole, earth, is like, that's, and as a, a whole. So it's like, even just, synergy, right? When we all tap in and we're all feeling the same thing,
The
that
collective mind. Hmm.
exactly,
The
exactly
collective
that.
mind. It's coming. It's coming. It will be here. And I almost feel like that is what I have been prepped for, because you think about parents and grandparents that had to die in a convalescent hospital with someone looking through a window. You think about patients with, ventilators, and they take their last breath, no one's with them. There is going to be, I'm going to say, probably with this slow drip of information coming out pertaining to the COVID experience. I truly believe that within the next year or so, when things are more revealed,
Mhm.
there's going to be so much anger. There's going to be so much guilt.
Yeah.
When I even talk about it, I just feel like this black cloud that's going to cover a lot of people, and they're not going to know what to do about it. And we can't, as a human, we can't go around like that till we die, because then we get angry and we hurt someone, both physically and mentally. We hurt
Right.
ourselves, the suicides that are happening because of what was done to us.
Right.
It's
Yeah. Yeah, no, I heard that suicide is up 300%. um
yes,
and I feel like right now, and maybe it's because we're even entering in a 7 universal year, which is about
spiritual year.
spiritual, right? And the deep questions and the uncovering, the seeking of the truth, it's starting to open. Like, people are realizing things that they, didn't realize last year or the year before, and they're getting angry about
Mhm.
it, rightfully so. And with that anger, there has to become some, it has to come some sort of letting it go at some point. Otherwise, I mean, the earth is going to explode.
Right,
you know
right. And that's the thing is with these drips that are coming of what transpired and that anger building up, we need to help people understand, what was going on.
right.
How can we help them to come to terms with that without and utilize that that's a negative energy, turn it into a positive energy somehow,
Right.
and that would be with forgiveness. You
Right.
can't carry around burdens like that, those deep hurts, those deep anger, because anger, then you've got violence, and it's not going to work. And that's why I
Right.
think people like you and I are rising up, starting to talk about it. And even if we just plant seeds, of okay, be prepared. There's some things coming out
Right.
that you're not going to like,
Mhm.
but let's as a collective work together and put out the good and
Right.
positive energy, because we can't go back and fix it. It is what it
Right.
is.
Yeah, and I think a key in that too is finding purpose through it,
Yes.
right? I mean, if you just sit and meditate in it, um, yeah, that's not going to go over well. But if you can find, okay, how can I use this for a greater purpose? How can we
Right.
collectively learn from this? How can we, grow from this and turn it into a purpose? That's one thing I find too, is that, with the stories that lead to greatness, you hear people, billionaires that at some point were sleeping in their car, and
Right.
that had to happen for this to happen. And so for us to come to some sort of agreement that, okay, we went through this process and finding your purpose, because now you're helping people in this area, or now you're doing this, and this great stuff would not have happened had this horrible thing not happened. So that's going to be really powerful. Do you find that a lot with the people that you work with that are finding forgiveness and moving on? They're having to like focus on utilizing that pain in a different way?
Absolutely. And what I'm trying to teach or tell people, just like myself, when I was going through that divorce, it was like, why is this happening to me? And as I gained my confidence, as I practiced forgiveness, as I loved myself, my question was, what did you learn from this, and how can you help others? Especially being an older woman, I completely reinvented my life. People ask me, well, are you retired? It's like, are you kidding? I'm just getting started.
Love it.
I
I
am
love
just
that.
getting started. And
Mm,
so with you, to me, it's more powerful if you've gone through it. Not that it made it easy or better, but when you harness that pain and that shame and turn it around into love, acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness, you've harnessed something really powerful. And then you can move towards that person that doesn't understand why they should forgive, or why. And it
right.
just, if you look at what I learned, what I've created, and who I am, at least that helps them see a path that I didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, let's forgive everybody. I was married 25 years,
Wow.
total
Yeah.
relationship of 33.
Wow.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
just like a blink and okay, well, I'll forgive you. It was a process, truly a process.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, that's a chunk of your life,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And
That,
I was mad at myself. I'm like, that's the thing that you're like, why did I stay there that long? Why did I do this? So that's where my self-forgiveness had to come in.
yeah. Wow. That is so powerful. Um, that's amazing. Who is your ideal client that you normally work with that comes to you?
Right now I'm going to say it's women between 40 and 60.
Okay.
Men come too, but there's still, it's like there's a little bit of hesitancy because they're so conditioned for ego. We can't cry, we can't reveal things. And I see that as they're hurt too, but through conditioning, they don't want to go there. They're not conditioned to go there because, I mean, some of these sessions, there's tears. Honestly, I've had people
Oh, I
throw up.
bet. Oh,
It's
wow.
really,
Mhm.
yeah, it's really powerful. But women 30 to 60, I'm going to say are really kind of waking up to maybe there's more in life. I don't like carrying these burdens. What can I do? What's wrong with me? And that's where we start the conversation. That's where we and you know people don't understand quantum, but quantum is the past, present, and future, which can all be happening around us at once. Through visualization, you can go back and see yourself as a child, and in your vision, pick that little girl up or that little boy up and hug and love them. Tell them it's okay. We made it. We're safe. So that heals that part. And so it's really just a process. And I've never had two clients that are the same. And I do get a lot of messages. So a lot of times when I'm working with someone, I can hear the age or kind of envision what they're going through as they're going through it. So there's some, there's some verbiage we can use to release it. Tears are a way of releasing. I talk about like a fresh rain clears away the dirt or anything left over. That's what your tears are for. Do you need to scream? We're going to scream. Do you need to cry? We're going to cry. Does it make you sick to your stomach? We're going to throw up. And that doesn't sound pleasant, but instead of, keep talking about it, it's not doing any good. Let's expel it. Let's get it out. And then,
Kind of like going to the dentist. Kind of like going to the dentist, right? If you have like this tooth pain, a lot of people are terrified of the dentist. It's like going and getting it just over with. You're not holding on to that pain anymore.
Right.
It's kind of like a scary I love going to the dentist for some reason. Maybe I just love my dentist. I always feel like my mouth has gone to the spa. I mean, I can literally fall asleep. I'm like,
oh gosh,
do what you got to do.
You're the only one in the world.
That's what he told me. He was like, I think I've never heard that. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'll be like, oh, I have the dentist tomorrow, and I've had a root canal. Yeah. And I've just like, I don't know if it's the mindset, it didn't hurt or whatnot, but it's like, when it's hurting and you got to go get it worked on, it's like, but it's the same thing. It's like you're carrying this pain. How long do you want to have this toothache? Right?
Yeah.
Go through the process, shed the tears, throw up, scream, do what you need to do, and release it. And then go live your life and not have to carry that with you anymore. And then go tell other people to give themselves permission to be free.
And I have a picture of me when all this first started. And my physical appearance now is different. You will look physically different. Pain, grief, sadness, shame. You can see it in your body language, but you can see it in your face. And so I put them side by side, and I'm going to post them someday. Yeah, at how my eyes were dead. My eyes were absolutely dead. There was no, and I went out with I have two friends from like 7th and 8th grade, early high school. And we took a vacation to Monterey, and we went out to dinner, and we went thrifting and whatever we do. And about a year later, Cindy says, Lori and I had a conversation about you. She says, that wasn't you. We didn't know what was going on, but that wasn't you. She says, but you're back. She says, I knew you would be. I didn't know when. So they both held space for me but I didn't know it. And that's the problem. Sometimes we're in the middle of it. We don't know it. Others might recognize it. And I hope whoever does will hold space for you like my two friends did. But oftentimes you don't know how much you're carrying until you've released it.
Amazing. And your body doesn't lie, right? Your eyes don't lie. It's screaming loudly, and sometimes it's showing up as neck pain or cancer or something, and it's screaming to you until you release it.
And it showed up for cancer as my mother. Her and my dad were divorced, but she always said she forgave him. And they had been divorced about 20 years, but truly when she was about 4 days away from dying, she made the comment that he slept with all my friends. So she had carried, still holding it. Now, do I know if that's true? I don't. Her perception, but she carried that so long with her. Anything you carry in you. Wow. And this is a universal truth also. Whatever transpires on the inside, if it's dark, it's going to make its way to the outside.
Wow. Yeah. Powerful.
That's another reason to practice forgiveness, is for your own benefit, for your health, truly.
Right. Wow. Which makes so much sense that throughout, we don't talk about religion or anything like that. Before this, I'm a Christian, but just coming to my mind thinking the biggest gift as a Christian that God has given us is forgiveness. Like that's how powerful it is, right? Like,
It's there for a reason.
yeah, like that's the magnitude. Like
It,
that's the magnitude. And if we can like learn that, maybe that's the point. It's like you hear a lot of people like in the Christian religion saying, be like Jesus, be like Jesus. And it's not just a matter of, okay, I'm going to go walk on water,
yeah, he
but it's
forgave.
maybe it's the forgiveness.
He
Yeah.
forgave. He
Right.
forgave those people that,
Mhm.
and it's really,
Wow.
you don't need pills or medication. I mean, you practice forgiveness and something happens to you. Your health improves, your mental
Mm.
health improves. I mean, still have a little bit of problem in a hip. It's my female side, and that's where anger is stored. So I still have to work on times at releasing that. But forgiveness is our cure.
That is so powerful. Every time he healed somebody, he forgave them. Like,
Yes,
okay, my mind is so blown right now. This is I gotta have you on again. I would love to go deeper into this
I
and
would love
just,
that
oh my
too.
gosh, this is so powerful. Um, well, there's a world of people that need to forgive themselves. They don't know where to start, how to go about it. Anybody that wants more information or wants to contact you, how do they get a hold of you? Yeah, you said you had two ebooks as well.
Yeah, I would love to gift your viewers with two ebooks. You can go
Okay.
to my website, and I keep everything really simple so I don't forget. It's NicoleHarvick.com. So
Okay.
it's just my name.
Okay.
And what you'll find on there is there's two ebooks. One is from a book that I wrote. I wrote a chapter in a book about forgiveness through my divorce, and it's called The Alchemy of Forgiveness. Because if you remember, alchemy was changing steel into, gold. And
Right.
I changed all my negatives, my anger and hate, into love and compassion. So I feel like I changed. That's why I named it The Alchemy. The other ebook is 5 Steps to Self-Forgiveness. And so
Okay.
you can download those there.
Mhm.
And then I also have an email, hello@NicoleHarvick.com. You can reach out and contact me,
Okay.
and I get back to emails. So,
Okay.
I'm easy to find. I'm on every social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, um,
Okay.
you name it. I'm there, Nicole Harvick.
Awesome. Okay, well, I will once I upload this, I'll make sure and put the links under the YouTube video. That way
Okay.
anybody that's wanting to get a hold of you can reach you there. So I don't know if you have any parting words or any last thing that you want to say as we close.
Well, for me, here's what I want to tell everybody is life is hard enough for us with just our everyday tasks and things that are put before us. When you're not living in the moment, which is all we have, we can't change the past. We're not guaranteed the future. All we have is that moment. Don't drag the past with you. Don't do that. Forgive yourself because you deserve it. Forgive them because you deserve it. It
Mm.
truly, forgiveness is all for you.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, so much for spending this time with me. I know we went a little over than we scheduled, but I please forgive me.
No, what, this has been a beautiful opportunity. So thank you. So I could talk with you all day. You're
Yeah,
amazing. So thank you
thank
for
you.
having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is just, it's given me even just so much to think about and really process within my own self, maybe even just asking, maybe, the question of the day could be, what do I need to forgive today? Right? What do I need to forgive myself for today? And go with that. And I hope that you get a million calls because I think the
Oh,
world
thank you.
truly needs forgiveness,
I do
right
too.
now. Yeah. And I can tell from your genuine heart, your soul, that you love what you do and you're
I
gifted.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I've had a lot of jobs that I've liked a lot. This is like from my heart. This is what I came here to do. That's all I can say.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, anybody, watching this video, please contact Nicole, get her books, download her books. If anything, download her books from NicoleHarvick.com. I'll put the link below the video here, and start the process of freeing yourself. Give yourself that permission to let go of what you're not supposed to be carrying anyway. If you need help through that process, reach out to Nicole. If you can't find her for some reason, reach out to me. I'll connect you. But get a hold of her and get that process going. You deserve it. Your family deserves it. Life is short. Money is always replenishable. Time is not. So do what you got to do. Get your life back if you're holding on to anything, and let that stuff go. So Nicole, thank you so much. And I definitely feel blessed. I know anybody that watches this video is they're going to see hope at the end of the tunnel, if they don't see any right now. So thank you for that. And for everybody else, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. So thank you. Have a wonderful day.